Thank you, Rabbi, for those kind words, and more importantly, thank our clergy, all the rabbis and cantor, for all of your ongoing friendship, guidance, support, and teachings. There are several questions that I must raise. The first is, why am I speaking tonight? Truthfully, Rabbi Geffen believes, and I hope she's right, that I have something that might be meaningful and helpful to you, especially during these days of awe. 62 years ago, on Erev Sukkot, I had experimental open-heart surgery to correct a congenital birth defect. Several gutsy doctors were willing to take a chance when others would not, and gave my parents this choice. If we try this experimental surgery, there's maybe a 15% chance it'll be successful. However, there's a 0% chance that your son Howard will be alive 6 months from now. I know my parents were given a choice because God gave it to them. I now realize that if I was born maybe a year earlier, if the hole had grown a little sooner, if the heart-lung machine had not been perfected so that it could be used on a child, I wouldn't be standing here today. I firmly believe that my God was right there with me, so much so that I was told by some other doctors that I was the first or second successful such surgery in Chicago. Fast forward to September 2016. My family dedicated a brick in the North Shore Garden in honor of the 60th anniversary of my Sukkot miracle. And I was extremely thrilled, excited to be able to reach that milestone. Then, as the Yiddish proverb states, man plans, God laughs. I found out a few weeks later, and right before Sukkot, that I'm one of about 250,000 new cases of lung cancer in the United States each year. And at least 40% of us are like me, people who've never smoked. Within a week, the doctors told me, you have stage 4 cancer, including a tumor on your brain. So there are several whys I'm going to try and answer tonight. The first is, why am I a Jew? Why, after all that has happened to me and is currently happening to me, is it even more important to me that I'm a Jew? And why do I really believe it's the little things in life that count? Well, my answer to the first question is simple. I was born a Jew. But in fact, I'm a proud Jew by choice, as I firmly believe that even though I was raised as a Jew with a large amount of Jewish guilt, I do, as everyone, have the choice to determine how I choose to live my life. I choose trying to live, not always succeeding, by the teachings of our Torah. As a Jew, I follow the teachings of Abraham and the belief in one God. And as we read the Shema and reaffirm this belief, and then we go through the Al-Haftarah, we hear, as Moses tells the people of Israel during his farewell address, you shall teach these words and beliefs faithfully to your children. These teachings and blessings are not reserved only for those that read and understand Hebrew, have had a bar bat mitzvah, keep kosher, try to keep all the 613 commandments. As Jews, we are allowed to be as observant and as practicing followers of our faith as we choose. When I ask why I'm still a Jew, especially now, as I just said, I do believe in God, and even though I can't prove that God exists, as like I think everyone here, has never met God. However, I know I've spoken to God, and even though God has not spoken directly to me as he has to Abraham, Moses, and some of the prophets, I know that God has answered me many times, and it is this belief that has helped me through all the challenging tests of my life. As I see it, there's really no downside to saying you believe in God and believing in God. As I find out, and if I find out that when I'm no longer on this earth, I was wrong, I hope that during this life, I will have been comforted in the knowledge that my God has provided me with a moral anchor, guidance, and comfort when needed, and hopefully a richer and fuller life. Many of us have read, or given as a gift, the Dr. Seuss book, Oh, the Places You Go, which paints a wonderful picture of life with an always upward and positive trajectory. Unfortunately, our real lives usually do not follow this always upward path. There are, for me and almost everyone I know, bumps in the road. Perhaps this is why the Talmud teaches that life is a journey, not a destination. The unique teaching of Judaism is our free will. How do we each choose the life that we will live and the plan we have? As I already mentioned to you, right before Sukkot in 2016, I heard those 5 dreaded words. You definitely have lung cancer. Please picture with me an angry, that's putting it mildly, Howard asking God, why me? Yes, I was really blaming God. I was nervous, scared, and then sitting alone in the middle of the night thinking of what was going to happen to me and to my wife, Sandy, and our family. I quickly realized that if I kept thinking this way, I was giving up, and my game was over. As Jews, especially on this Shabbat, we are taught by Moses in this week's Torah Parsha, Ve'elach, to always choose life, preferably a blessed life with God in our Torah. Choosing life is what we all were asking for and praying for on Rosh Hashanah, that we be inscribed in the book of life, and we will, in a few days, ask to be sealed in this book. And then, it really hit me. As Sandy and I told our children many times, and I realized again that night, we do not get to choose the cards that were dealt out of the deck of life. We only get to choose how we are going to play them. Having this choice is what sets us apart from each other. Some cards provide great happiness and joy. In many instances, others, many tests and challenges, and in sometimes very painful sorrow and more challenges. But unlike Dr. Seuss, that's a real life. The only choice we have is the attitude we have regarding our life and how we choose to play our personal cards. For me, what might have been a very short life turned into a wonderful, meaningful journey. Meeting the love of my life, Sandy, in college at NIU. You are my rock, my soulmate, my very best friend. And Sandy, you have been and continue to be the greatest blessings in my life. Thank you for allowing me to share our life's journey together and our having 3 wonderful children who are each successful, happily married, and have provided us with 8 grandchildren and our very blessed angel Brady. My life and our beliefs, Sandy and mine, have allowed us to pass on our heritage, our Jewish heritage, now to 2 more generations, Lador Vador. The Hebrew words in the main sanctuary, right behind Rabbi Geffen's pulpit, are the teachings of the prophet Micah, which for me, after the Shema, is the essence of our Torah and also taught in all Christian theology. Micah was asked, but please remember, many people back then believed in idols and various gods, but Micah was asked, what does this one God of yours really want? His answer is so simple, so profound, and so meaningful. Only to do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. This framework, to me, simply means be the best you can be. Teach this to our children, not only with words, but with our actions. By doing justly, we always should act, as Rabbi Hillel said centuries ago, toward everyone else the way we ourselves want to be treated, having compassion and being willing to help others, especially those in need. Micah teaches, as our rabbis all spoke about on Rosh Hashanah, we should seek tikkun olam, helping and repairing the world and making the world a better place by doing mitzvot. By living this way, maybe as God told Abraham, not only will we be blessed, but also, and more importantly, we should be a blessing to others in our lives. Trying to live by the teachings of Micah is what I aspire to do. Please do not think I'm saying I'm perfect or I'm better than you. Definitely I'm not, And if you want any verification, please ask Sandy. A dear friend and teacher here at North Shore tells her students and many others and asks this question: are you filling up your mitzvah point bank? As I tried to add to my point bank, I asked her, when do I get to collect? Her response was always the same: just keep adding mitzvah points, and when you need them the most, you will redeem them. And little did I know how right she has been. The most important lesson I've learned about doing mitzvot is we never know the impact of what we are doing and what we do on others. And I really have learned it's the little things that count. I hope the following few minutes I can better explain with a few examples about the little things and how important they become. For years, as Rabbi Geffen just said, I was a high holiday usher, always choosing to help with special seating, because by doing that, I felt I was doing the greatest mitzvah, getting the greatest satisfaction, and I hoped that I did help others have a meaningful Holy Day experience. Quite frankly, I miss being able to do that, but right now I just don't have the energy. Years ago, our family formed the habit of having a Shabbat meal whenever we could. We would say the Kiddush, the Motzi, and I learned the Father's prayer that today at North Shore is the parents' blessing. This prayer actually is two separate blessings, one for our sons and grandsons, one for our daughters and granddaughters, always ending with the priestly benediction. Of course, our children, as they got a bit older at times, didn't want to keep us for us doing this. Yet, as they each became a parent, I was asked for a copy of this prayer. The true meaning of faithfully teaching and participating with our children became very clear to me when this prayer became so meaningful to each of them, and hopefully now to our grandchildren. Our family tradition now includes that when Sandy and I are at the Shabbat table, I am given the honor of saying this prayer, especially on the first Shabbat when we welcome a new member of the family. Our Jewish community is known to being caring and helpful in many ways beyond just writing a check when others are in need. Our daughter, Abby, had a challenging pregnancy in 2012. In addition to our own rabbis always being there, a good friend who's an Orthodox rabbi was very concerned and supportive. He called, emailed, and texted me frequently during the challenging times. After a very long day at Children's Hospital in Wisconsin in Milwaukee, we returned to our hotel very late on Thursday night, and I had a text message which said, "Please call me anytime." Around midnight, the rabbi and I spoke for about 5 minutes. I filled him in on what was going on, and he said, "I will continue to say Misha Baraks, as are many members of my minyan." And then he asked the $64,000 question: where are you spending Shabbat? I told him I couldn't think that far in advance. Things were happening too quickly. All I knew was we would be at the hospital. Abby had given birth to twin boys. The older one, Jack, is today a thriving 6-year-old you might see around the temple with his younger sister, Molly. Unfortunately, as many of you also know, his twin brother, Brady, had serious heart issues not related to mine and lived just 10 days. About 1:30 Friday afternoon, I was called to the guard station and told we had a visitor. I was dumbfounded, as all the members of our family that had come to Milwaukee already to support Abby and Jay. A woman from Milwaukee met me there and asked if I knew a rabbi. She did not know his name, and she said, "He's from Chicago or Skokie." I said, "Yes." And then she told me she wanted to meet Abby and Jay. She had a challah and sparkling grape juice for a Shabbat meal. Apologized for not bringing candles, but the hospital wouldn't allow it. We had a visit, and a few hours later, we had a meal in the lobby of the hospital, a quasi-Shabbat meal, complete with blessings. This was the only time I have not been able to say the prayer for Jack. I then went alone to the ICU and had even a harder time praying over Brady. This was the only Shabbat that I was able to give him that blessing. Because of the mitzvah of a total stranger, I was allowed the honor of continuing a very important tradition in our Jewish family, especially for Sandy, I, and our children. So you know we've kept in touch with our mitzvah lady, and when I told her the story, she cried and said, "I did not think it was such a big deal until now." And she realized the impact that her mitzvah had on our family. As I said, it is truly the little things in life that count. By the way, she then called me and said, "I use that as a teaching opportunity for my own children and many others that I teach." As I thanked her and later thanked the rabbi, they each gave the exact same message. This was from Hashem, God. I was the messenger. Again, I firmly believe this was just another personal message for me. I'm blessed to have a great support network of family and friends, many in this sanctuary, and people I don't even know offering daily prayers for healing. Jews from the most religious to secular, Christian friends, and even some priests that I've met at DePaul University while teaching. I know that our lives are fuller when we do mitzvot without expecting anything in return, and enhanced even more when we can accept the mitzvah of others. My son-in-law Jay's mother actually called the temple and asked, "What's important about the Hebrew in the sanctuary?" Then she needle-pointed a gift, the words of Micah. When she did this, she had no idea the importance these words were to me until I told her. Coincidence? I don't think so. Again, I believe God spoke to me. No one in his or her right mind ever wants to say, "I have cancer." But I'm grateful and blessed to be able to tolerate the medications I'm on and pray that as things change, and they will, my journey will continue with refuah shema. I pray that all in our congregation attending tonight or on the net, facing a personal challenge or having a loved one with a challenge, are all going to be blessed with healing. I know that I'm on a long journey with this disease, and as it changes course, so must I. I told my doctors, as skilled as they are, it's all above their pay scale. I recently read, and it highlights what Abraham told us we should be a blessing, that your greatest test is when you're able to bless someone else while you're going through your own storm. I've always been trying, especially now, to be positive and encouraging people to choose life, especially when they're going through their own difficult tests. Trust me, it's not easy. In keeping with the Jewish value of choosing life, one of the first things I did after I decided how I had to play my cards was to call Abby and asked her to please save me and Aaliyah for our youngest granddaughter Molly's bat mitzvah, which at the time was 11 years into the future. Make that a toast at her wedding. It is with gratitude to my God, my family, and my friends that allows me to continue on this journey. And yes, I do look forward to adding more mitzvah points to my bank. As we enter 5779, I encourage everyone, as Rabbis Geffen, Green, and Daniels spoke about on Rosh Hashanah regarding Tukin Olam and making it a regular habit to do mitzvot, and teaching this and getting our children involved in doing it. May you do mitzvot, and remember, you will never know the real impact your little act of kindness might have on others. Another item I recently saw was always keep your head up, because if it's down, you won't be able to see the true blessings in your life. May we all be inscribed and sealed in the book of life for this year, 5779, and for many years to come. Shabbat Shalom.